Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'll be showing you how to make a maxi circle dress. So if you want to know how I made this maxi circle dress which I'm putting on, please stay tuned and watch to the end. So I'll be working with this Ankara fabric here, which is 6 yards, and the length I'll be working with is 61 inches. So because the Ankara fabric comes by 45 inches and it wouldn't be giving me the length I want, I've gone ahead to divide the fabric into 3 equal parts. So I have 2 yards each here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take one of the fabric and open it up, and I'm going to be dividing it into 2 lengthwise. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to attach one to this panel and one to this other panel. So I have one of the panels here opened up, and I'm just going to fold like this, selvage to selvage, making sure I fold it well. And when I fold, this is 1 inch. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fold it into 2. So I have by 45 inches here, and I'll fold again, selvage to selvage. So after folding, I have 22.5 inches here. I'm just going to go ahead to divide it into 2 equal parts. So after dividing, this is what I have. So I'm going to take one of this panel and attach to one of the 2 yards, and this other panel will be attached to the other 2 yards. So I'm just going to take one of the 2 yard panel and I'm going to open it up, placing it like this, and I'll pick up this which I just cut out, and I'll place it right sides facing each other, selvage to selvage. So you have to make sure that your patterns align when placing yours. So the patterns must align. This is very important, and I'm going to sew it up with 1/2 inch. So after joining, this is what I have. So the next thing to do is to fold in a triangular form, or you can say in a bias form. So just exactly the way I'm doing. So when folding yours, you have to be mindful of the joining. You have to make sure the joining faces downwards and not upwards. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'll be marking on the right side of the fabric. So if you have to do yours, please mark on the wrong side of the fabric. So I have the open end at this side. I'm cutting the front and the back together, and I have the folded end at this side. So the next thing I'm going to do is to place my tape where I'll be getting 1/4 of my bust circumference plus 1.5 inches. So that will be 10 inches plus 1.5 inches will give me 11 inches. The 1 inch is the seam allowance, and the 1/2 inch is for ease. So I'll be placing my tape roll here, and I have 11.5 inches here, and I'll mark with a straight line. So this is automatically my chest line or my armhole depth. So the next thing I'm going to do is to place my tape on 8 inches this way, and I'm going to mark 4 inches upwards, just like this, and connect with a straight line. So this line now is automatically my neckline. So because this dress is a sleeveless dress with a strap, I wouldn't be marking my full shoulder measurement here. So what I'm going to do is to divide the shoulder measurement, which is 14 inches by 4. So 14 inches divided by 4 will give me 3.5 inches. So I'll be adding 1/2 inch to the 3.5 inches. So that will give me 4 inches. So on this line, I'm going to mark 4 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect from here to this point here to get the armhole curve. So I'm just going to take my French curve and connect like this. So this is the neckline, and this will be the chest line. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take the full measurement. So I'll place my tape this way on 4 inches, and I have 8 inches down here. So I'm just going to spread to 61 inches, which is the full length. So bear it in mind that I have 4 inches off. So I'm just going to mark 61 inches this way, and I'll be doing that all through, making sure my tape rule stays on 4 inches. So once I'm done, I'm just going to connect the markings and I'm going to cut this out. So I'm done cutting out. So if you don't want so much volume or so much fullness and you want to reduce the fullness, so at this point you could come in between 5 to 7 inches and you connect to the armhole and you can trim out to reduce the fullness. So for the neckline, you could choose to leave it straight or you determine the type of neckline you want, but for me I'll be coming down by 1 inch. So I'll take my tape rule and step downwards by 1 inch. So I'm marking 1 inch here and I'm going to connect with my curve to this point. So this will now be my new neckline. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut this out. At this point, if you haven't subscribed, please do what to subscribe to my channel. So I want this dress to have a pocket. So at the armhole, I'll be stepping down by 9 inches. So this is where the pocket is going to start from. So I'm going to give it a notch at this point. So opening up, this is what I have. I have the armhole here and I have the neckline. So the next thing is to finish up the neckline and the armhole. So I'll be creating the facing for the neckline, and for the armhole, I'll be creating a strap which will extend to the shoulder. So you're going to calculate what you have on the armhole plus the 4 inches off. So I have 6 inches here plus the 4 inches, which will give me 10 inches. So I'm going to multiply what I have. That will give me 20 inches. So that will be for the front and for the back. So I have my facing here, which is 1 inch. So this is for the front and also for the back. So I have my strap here. So this is 20 inches long by 2.5 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do is to fold in this way by 1/2 inch and this other end by 1/2 inch, and I'm going to give it a good press. So once I'm done, I'll fold into 2 again and give it a press. So to cut the pocket, you place your hand like this, making sure to have 8 inches this way as the pocket opening. So I have to make sure that on the last finger I have a 1 inch distance, my middle finger the same 1 inch distance, and on my thumb I have a 1 inch distance. So the next thing to do is to connect the markings this way, and once I'm done, I'll just have to cut out and our pocket is ready. So I have 2 here and I'll be using this to cut 2 more pieces to make it 4 pieces. So once I'm done, this is how it looks like. So on the 9 inch which I notched, I'm just going to start placing my pockets from there, right sides facing each other. So, and I will sew with the seam allowance I have, which is 1 inch. So after sewing, I'm just going to flip like this and I'll top stitch the pocket. So I'll be doing the same thing to this other end on this notch part, and I'll repeat the same thing to other panels. So once I'm done, I'll take my facing and place on the neck like this, right side facing each other, just like this, and I'm going to sew up with 1/2 inch. So once I'm done sewing, I'm just going to turn it in and finish up. So I'll be doing the same thing to the other panel and I'll show you how it looks like. So I'm done with the pocket and the facing. So I also finished up the armhole. So I used the strap to run through on the armhole. So you could also use your bias to finish up the neckline if you have a bias strip, or you could cut a fabric strip, just placing your strip in the bias form. So to finish up the armhole, I placed the armhole in between the straps. So after placing it, I ran a stitch up onto this point, and I did the same thing to the other end. So you're just going to leave an opening to join the other panel to this point. So I'll do it and show you how it looks like. So you're just going to get your panel like this, placing your strap this way. You open up the strap and you place your fabric in between just like this, and you fold just this way. So after folding, you're just going to run a stitch from here all the way up onto this point, and you close it up. So I'll be repeating the same thing to this other armhole, placing it here, and I'll just sew it up. So once I'm done, and I went ahead to sew with my 1-inch seam allowance. So this is the final outcome of what I have. So guys, if this tutorial was helpful to you out there, please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.